All right. Good evening, everybody. That was loud. If everybody want to stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening, everybody. How many of you guys got the email with the newsletter link attached? All right. Now the next question, how many people actually read the newsletter? Whoa, we're improving. Ed, we're improving. All right. So if you read the newsletter, you notice that there was going to be a slight change in the way we're doing the agenda tonight. And it's only tonight. And the main reason we're kind of cutting out some of the stuff that we normally do, speeding things up than what we normally do, is because at around 8:45, 8:50, Michael has to jump on to Ham Nation to go live on Ham Nation tonight at 9 o'clock to help announce the award winners for Hamcation 2024. So that's what we're going to do it from here. You guys are more than welcome to stick around to watch. Only thing is, once we go live, please hold everything, the voices down, so we can do this fairly quickly. Hopefully they'll get Michael on there at the very beginning and maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, and then cut off, and then we'll pack everything up and stuff like that. So, but again, so we're not going to go around to the clubs like we normally do, the board of directors, that type of stuff. We're going to skip it this month so we can go pretty much into our presentation in a few minutes. And about 13 minutes is what we told our presenter who's online already. All right, a couple other quick announcements. Just to remind everybody, there is no meeting or test session next month here at Beardall. Okay. If the meeting, instead of doing the meeting, we're actually doing the kit build at Hamcation on Wednesday night. There's still slots available if you want to sign up and do the kit. If you don't want a kit and still come, you can do that. You don't have to sign up. If you do plan on building one of the kits, please sign up so we make sure we have enough kits or don't have more people than we have kits available. And all that's available on the website, hamcation.com, or if you just send your name and information to kitbuild@hamcation.com, we'll add you to the list for the kit build. And that's going to be Wednesday, February the 7th at 6 o'clock. We've done this past couple of years at Hamcation. It's gone really well. A lot of people end up coming out. A lot of people come out just to watch to see what's being built, to learn that way. Then coming up in March, we'll be back here at Beardall, and we will be starting to build the slate for our elections coming up in April. So if you have an interest in running for a board of directors position or an officer position, everybody's up for re-election, then please let me know or make sure you're here for the March meeting, okay? You have to let the person that's going to be creating the slate know that you have an interest. If you're interested in more on what the qualifications are, what's required, what's needed to be done, that type of stuff, let me know. I'll be more than happy to tell you. Otherwise, we'll go over that all in March. We won't do it tonight here at the meeting, okay? Again, kind of speeding things up. Dinah, you want to come up?
I'm Diana, KO4VEJ. At Fun Day, John and I were talking about how we can get more women involved. And so I am looking for women who would like to help me brainstorm, come up with ideas. Maybe we could have our own net. Maybe we can introduce ourselves to women who get licensed and kind of bring them in. So after the meeting tonight, if you're interested, just come up to me and let's see if we can put our heads together and how we can reach out to other women. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Application updates. Actually, we might get into the presentation early.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a difference between a howl and those things, so I got to turn it down. All right, Hamcation. Few things. One, we do need volunteers. We're in desperate need of volunteers. The holidays are over with now. So most people will be signing up now for a lot of positions. I know one position we need lots of help in yet is tickets, for on-site tickets. So please, if you have not volunteered, please go to the website and volunteer. I know Sharon is looking for lots of help for that area. It's a simple job. If you're not able to walk around, it's a good job for you because you can sit. Pretty much just need to know how to count money. 1, 2, 3. So please volunteer. If you volunteer 4 hours, you do get a free ticket. If you volunteer all day, we do feed you. No, yeah, we pay you in food. Please volunteer. The other thing is, like John said, I will be on Ham Nation tonight announcing the award winners for the Gordon West Ambassador of the Year Award and the Carol Perry Educator of the Year Award. If you like, stick around afterwards to see that. If not, hop online and watch it live on YouTube. The other thing I got to announce is the picnic. We have selected a date for the picnic, and it will be April 27th, 2024. More information be coming out here soon, an email and stuff like that for it. It will be at the same park, which is Bill Frederick Park at Turkey Lake. But it will be at a new location inside the park. We will be at pavilions number 1 and 2 this year. When the email comes out, I will attach a map to it to show how to get to those pavilions. It's a lot bigger area, a lot bigger pavilions. So it should make spreading out a little better, not as crammed. So it should be really nice. And we're actually down by the lake also, which makes it nice. Same time, 1 p.m. So just like I said, more information will be coming out on that. That's all I got.
All right, just a couple of quick updates on what is going on with Hamcation on the commercial end of it. We secured today, Dark is going to be coming and having a booth at Hamcation this year. RSGB is coming this year. We also have numerous other new ones that are coming this year. I think we're up to about 14 or 15 now new vendors coming for the very first time or have not been here since the pandemic. So we kind of returning vendors also. But there's a lot of new ones and stuff. So please, we really rely on you guys come out and visit with these vendors. Welcome to Hamcation and see what they got to offer. You never know, there's great deals usually going on at Hamcation that weekend that you can't get by not being there and stuff. So
For everybody that don't know, what is Dark and RGB?
I'm sorry, Dark and RSGB. Dark is the pretty much the equivalent to ARRL in Germany and the Dutch Amateur Radio Club or Dutchland, I think is actually is how Deutschland. And then RSGB is the Radio Society of Great Britain, which is the ARRL equivalent to UK and stuff. So these are the first year we have been since 2015. We have been working on trying to get both of those organizations to come to Hamcation. A lot of talking, a lot of reminding, a lot of visiting when we're in Dayton. And it's finally paying off this year. So, and I know RSGB is bringing lots of books and different types of magazines and different things like that there. So they have actually, I think 2 booths, if I'm not mistaken. So,
and just by that, this shows that our show is going international. We're getting a lot more international people. What Peter and Liddy do over in Europe is paying off, and this is the reason why. So out of the big ones that coming over, those are 2 of them. Our next one that we're really been working on also is JARL, which is Japan Amateur Radio League. So hopefully here soon we'll get them.
Yeah, that's the next one. And we've been talking with them the past couple of years at Dayton and stuff. If you ever been to Dayton, you ever notice a big tower that's usually on display at Dayton from Luso Tower out of Japan. They're our next goal too. So they're a big international tower company and stuff. So anyways, going good. Mr. Ed, are you ready? Yep.
Hello, Mel. Glad you could join us. Nice picture there. Mel Granick, KS2G, was first licensed as a novice in 1977, and he upgraded to technician, general, and advanced class licenses within 6 months, and has been an amateur extra since 1981. He's been active in numerous aspects of amateur radio, ranging from traffic handling to the early days of packet radio. Using a modest station consisting of a 100-watt transceiver, 3-element tri-bander, and a 4080 dipole up just 35 feet. He's been successful as a DXer. He has over 250 DXCC contacts. He's an award chaser with 5-band, worked all states, and one of the leading contest operators in the second call area, repeatedly placing in the top 10 among U.S. low-power single operators in the CQ Worldwide DX, CQ Worldwide work prefixes, and ARRL 10-meter contest. And in New Year's Eve 2014, I worked you. I found you in my
Yes, I
log.
saw that.
Got in here. Mel was one of the founders of the 25-year-old amateur Ham Radio University Educational Conference in New York. 3-time past president and current vice president of the Order of Boiled Owls of New York Contest and DX Club. Life member and contesting chairman of the Long Island Mobile Amateur Radio Club. Former ARRL Hudson Division Assistant Director, and currently Public Relations Coordinator of the New York City Long Island section. Thank you very much, Mel, for joining us and sharing your expertise and your knowledge. It's all yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorely disappointed I didn't get a free trip to Orlando to do this in person, but we'll make do. So I'm going to do a presentation on contesting. I think you know what that is. Let's see if I can get the technology to work here. I want to do this, and let's see, share screen. And this is the screen I want to share. And let's get going. Hold on a second here. Slideshow. Okay. Just checking everybody can see my screen, can see the PowerPoint that I'm
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so we're going to talk about amateur radio contests. I've been doing this for a long time. Everybody starts out knowing nothing, as I did. So this is a basic presentation running you through what contesting is all about for newcomers and non-contesters, and anybody who's actually done any amount of contesting. I hope we'll get some benefit out of it as well. So let's get going. So let's start with the first question. What is contesting in the first place? Contesting is also known as radio sport. And basically, it's competitive amateur radio operating. What does that mean? It means you try to work as many stations as possible in as many different places as possible, as quickly as possible. That's the basis of all contests, but there are many different flavors and permutations of contesting. But it's basically work a lot of stations as fast as you can. So let's start with a little history. How popular is contesting? Here's a look at a graphic that shows the number of logs submitted in the so-called Big 5 HF contests from 1966 to 2010. Now, those are the contests, the ARRL DX, the CQ Worldwide DX, the CQOIWPX, the German Amateur Radio Contest, and JRRL. These are the number of logs submitted in all those contests in CW's sideband and RIDI and mixed mode over the course of 1996 to 2010. And you can see down here, when we started in 1996, for all those Big 5 contests, there are about 18,000 logs submitted. And by the end of the period in 2010, there are about 50,000 logs submitted. So there's a steady growth in contesting over that period. But Mel, that's 2010. That's a long time ago. What about now? Here's what it looks like currently for one contest. The biggest contest of the year in terms of DXing is the CQ Worldwide DS contest. And it runs in 2 sections. It runs separately on separate weekends in CW and in phone. And if we look down in 2018, down here, and you divide these two together, you got 16,000 logs just in this one contest. And there's a steady growth in that, so that the last year that's available, 2020, combined total of logs in just this one contest in CW and phone is about 18,000 logs submitted. So contesting is very popular, and you can see the growth is pretty steady. There's one little hole down here in 2019. Anybody want to guess what that is? I'll tell you. That was COVID. And the reason the logs fell off is because a lot of DXers who go out and go on DXpeditions for the CQ DX contest were not unable to do so. So contesting is really very, very popular. So question, what class of license do you need to operate in a contest? And the answer is any. All amateur radio licensees in the United States can participate in contests, no matter what your license class, anything from a novice all the way up to extra. Novices and technicians, people say, well, they don't operate HF. Well, not true. They can also operate in VHF and UHF contests, and they can operate HF phone on 10 meters between 28.3 and 28.5 megahertz. They can also operate Ridian data on 10 meters and between 28.0 and 28.3. And they can operate HFCW on 80 meters, 40 meters, and 15. So anybody who has an amateur radio license can become a contester. So how do we find out when the contests are on? Many thanks to WA7BNM, Bruce Horn. Bruce Horn runs a website called contestingcalendar.com. And if you go to that contestcalendar.com website, you'll find that he has a whole list of contest calendars, anything from the calendars for the past week or so to a 12-month calendar, a perpetual calendar. You click on the links and you get lists of contests running by date and by area. So contestcalendar.com, simple to remember if you want to find out. If you're ever on the air one weekend and you hear what sounds like a contest and you can't figure out which one it is, if you go to Bruce Horn's contestingcalendar.com website, you look at the date that you're listening to, and you can figure out what contest it is. And he's got a bunch of links on there. You've got the names of the contest. You click on the link and it'll take you to the rules of the contest and tell you how it all works. So what to do first? You decide you want to do contesting, and you go to Bruce's website and you say, well, there are all these contests. What do I do? How do I decide where to go, what to do? First of all, decide which contests you want to operate. And there are different kinds of contests. There are contests on HF only or VHF, UHF, as I alluded to earlier. There are small contests. They're short in duration, sometimes as long as there are contests called sprints, which run only 4 hours. There are large contests. They run a full 48 hours over the course of a weekend. There are contests that spread out over the course of a week, that kind of thing. There are domestic contests, stateside only. There are DX contests. There are a mix of the two. There are CW contests. There are phone contests. There are Ridian digital contests. So you make your decision in terms of where you want to go, what you want to do, HF, UHF, small, short, domestic DX, what mode you want to operate. Once you decide that, you see there are dozens of contests, and you figure out, well, how do I find out how they all work? Well, as I said, each contest usually has a website, and each website of the contest contains the contest rules. Contest rules explain the dates and times the contest is running, the bands or modes that the contest is operating in, the objectives of the contest, which kind of contacts you're looking for within the rules, and the contest exchange, which I'll explain to you in just one moment, and the entry classes. One of the nice things about contesting, it's like one of my favorite physical pastimes, which is golf. Golf has handicapping. And golf, you can compete against people who are in the same league that you are in terms of what your handicap is, which tee box you operate against, and the same thing with amateur radio contesting. There are different entry classes. There are classes for high power, low power, different antenna configurations, single operators, multi-operators, number of hours, and so forth. So the contest rules will explain the different entry classes that you can enter the contest in, and therefore you can compete on a level playing field against people who are similar to you in the same entry class. And the contest rules will also explain the contest scoring. And last but not least, the contest rules explain how to submit your log. It's by submitting your log that you enter the contest. And by the way, I'll get to this again later, you do not have to enter the contest for your contest contacts to be valid. You can just casually operate and give contacts to people who are in the contest, even though you don't want to enter a log or enter the contest. So what do I send and receive in a contest QSO? Again, this is explained in the rules. There are all these different numbers and letters and so forth. What's that all about? Each contest QSO consists of an exchange of information. The exchange is defined in the contest rules. It may be that you give your name and state and receive the other station's name and state. It may be that you give a signal report and a QSO number, a serial number. It may be that you give a signal report and your IARU or CQ zone. Okay. There are two zone systems, in case you're unaware of that. Don't ask me why there are two. On the East Coast here of the United States, we're in CQ zone 5, we're in IARU zone 8. Don't ask me why they're different. You may just give a signal report and a grid square in a VHF, UHF contest. You must receive and accurately log the exchange for the QSO to be valid. And remember, this is a one-way operation. You need to accurately log the information for you to get credit based on what the other station sent. If he doesn't get your information correctly, but you got his information correctly, you get credit, he does not. So no matter what the actual signal report, you listen to contests and everybody says they're 5.9. Why is that? The contest signal reports are not intended to convey information about the quality of the signal. They're just part of the exchange. They're like a placeholder in the exchange. Contests usually say that the exchange is something like a signal report and whatever. Doesn't say an actual signal report, doesn't say an accurate signal report. Nothing brands you as a newbie or a non-contester than giving anything but 5.9 during a contest. So make a note of that on your notepad. Using 5.9 usually means one less piece of information to actually copy. If it's signal report and whatever, it sets you up to receive whatever that other information is. 5.9 New York sets you up to say, New York sets the station on the other end to get ready to receive the second piece of information. Copying CW, they're ready to copy a number, they're ready to copy a letter, whatever it is. And in CW 599, it can be shortened to 5NN, that kind of thing. So what's that old information in exchange of the ARRL sweepstakes? Any of you who've ever operated in sweepstakes or listened to sweepstakes? Sweepstakes exchange is a little different. It's the longest of any contest, and the sweepstakes exchange corresponds to the heading on a National Traffic System radiogram. For those of you who are old timers ready to remember traffic handling, it's still going on. So in the ARRL sweepstakes, you give a serial number, you give the power you're running based on a letter, and then you give your call sign. Then you give a 2-digit number indicating the year you were first licensed, and then you give an abbreviation of the ARRL section you're in. And that corresponds to the heading on the radiogram. In the radiogram, on the left-hand side, you see it's radiogram, the number, the precedence, the call sign of the originating station, the check or the year of license, and the section that you're originating the information from. So here we go. All these different contests, all these different bands, all these different modes. What band should I work? Which station should I work? How much time should I spend? Should I call CQ? Should I answer CQs? And whatever, in the immortal words of my idol, guitar idol, George Harrison, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Just get on the air, make contact, have fun. But random operating can be fun, but my belief is to get the most out of contesting. It's better to have some goals, some strategies, and some tactics. The goal is your objective in the contest operation. What are you trying to achieve in the contest? The strategy is your plan for accomplishing your goal. And the tactics are the procedures or the maneuvers you're going to use to implement your plan. Let's talk about this a little bit. What's your objective? Are you going for the highest possible score? Are you just going in for a certain number of QSOs? I do this all the time. I won't have a lot of time during a long contest weekend. I say, I'm in for 100 QSOs to contribute to the contest score of my contesting club. Or maybe in the sweepstakes, everybody's going for a clean sweep. That's the number of multipliers. I'm just going after the multipliers. I don't care how many QSOs. I'm just looking for multipliers. Maybe I'm trying to increase my DXCC total. So I'm looking for DXCC countries, DXCC entities. Maybe I'm trying to complete a worked all states. So I'm in the contest just to look for different states. Maybe I'm going for the WPX award. Maybe I'm just looking for prefixes. Maybe I'm going for grid squares. Or maybe I'm just in there to have fun. Maybe just want to make some QSOs. So once you have this objective, what's your plan? As I said, there are different entry categories. You can enter as a single operator. You can team up with your buddies and do a multi-op. you can do a single band in a multi-band contest, right? Some contests are on all bands at the same time, but they have a category for single band. This is a good way to compete on an even playing field. Go to your favorite band. The contest is on 80 through 10 meters. You love 10 meters, operate just single band 10 meters. Maybe in a contest that's multi-mode, it's CW and sideband, or either one or more or both. So maybe you're just going to go in for CW. Maybe you're just going to go in for a single power level. One of my contest buddies just let us know on our Club Reflector that he just got a plaque for the ARRL sweepstakes for being the #1 QRP station in the New York City Long Island section, in the Hudson Division, Hudson Division section. He just went in because he hadn't operated sweepstakes in a long time, put in some time, decided to go QRP, ended up as a plaque winner. Also, are you going to operate assisted or unassisted? Are you going to use spotting networks or other kinds of assistance? Also, number of hours of operation on a long contest. How many hours do you want to put in? Do you want to put in a lot of hours, just a few hours? Which times of day you want to operate? Do you want to sleep? Maybe not in a 48-hour contest. Some guys do that. Not me. I always like my Z's. So let's talk about tactics. There are basically two tactical approaches to contests. You can run, which means you call CQ, and you sit and call CQ if the contest permits it, and you wait for stations to come to you. There are certain kind of contests don't permit this. There are what they call contests that allow you not to sit on a particular frequency. And what those contests do is you call CQ on that frequency, you get an answer, and then you must vacate the frequency. But in most contests, you can sit on a frequency and run. You can call CQ. Or you can do the opposite. You can tune the band, you can search and pounce, you can find stations that are calling CQ, and you can answer them. Or you can mix and match these two tactics. The other thing tactically about contests, and particularly in long contests and multi-band contests, is which bands do you operate which times of day? How long do you spend on each band, and why? And what are your QSO rates? How many contacts per hour are you running on a particular band at a particular time of day? And do you want to stay on that band, or do you want to look for a more fertile ground on another band? And the QSO value of multipliers, which I'm going to explain in just a minute. So those are your basic tactics: run, search and pounce, band switches, QSO rates. And then the off times that you spend in a long contest. In a 48-hour contest, like I said, when do you want to be on the air? And which bands do you want to be on the air? At what time? And do you want to sleep? And do you want to have dinner? I operate a lot of long contests over weekends, and I have a commitment with family. We have a family dinner out every Saturday night. Always take time out for Saturday night dinner with the family. And as I said, you can work the gray line. I always bring this up because this is nice for you, whether you're a contester or not, or a DXer. There's a great explanation of working the gray line. Just go to your Google or favorite search engine and put in the words "working the gray line," and you'll come up with the website that I've indicated here by Paul Harden, NA5M, which is a terrific explanation of gray line propagation and why it's so valuable in contesting and DXing. How do you know which band to use? Like I said, work the gray line. How do you know which band to use? These days, it's a pleasure. There are so many propagation aids, and you can find information on what's happening on the bands in real time. This is for dxmaps.com. And for those of you not familiar with this particular tool, website, and you plug in certain parameters, which are up above the map here. As you can see in this particular image, it's an image of the 40-meter band at the particular time of day, and each of those lines is a QSO going on in real time on that band. So you can see in real time what's happening on any particular band by using DX maps and similar propagation aids. It's terrific. Back in the old days, your only help was to look at propagation forecasts and to tune across the bands. Now you can really see what's happening. If you're on 40 meters and you see all this activity, you say, well, is there a better band that I can go to? And you switch down. It's getting later in the evening, sun is going down, maybe it's better on 80. You can click on the tab that says 80 meters and see what's actually happening in real time. So you know which band to operate. So I mentioned multipliers earlier. My favorite contest subject. So as set forth in the contest rules, each QSO is worth a certain number of points. And the total number of points is then multiplied by the number of QSOs that meet certain criteria. Now, those criteria vary from contest to contest. Maybe this number of different states and provinces, number of different counties, for example, number of ARRL sections, as it is in sweepstakes, the number of DXCC entities. It may be the CQRIRU zones that I mentioned earlier. It may be the number of different grid squares. So here's why multipliers are important. Multipliers are basically what make contests interesting and create the need for strategy. Without multipliers, every contest would be simply a competition to see who makes the most contacts. But with multipliers, it's possible for Station A, one station, to have fewer QSOs, but outscore Station B. Forgive me for wiping my nose here. I have a permanent postnasal drip that's giving me grief. Here's how multipliers work. Let's take a look at a typical contest. This past December, we had the ARRL 10-meter contest. And for single sideband stations in the ARRL 10-meter contest, works like this. QSOs count 2 points each. And then multipliers are the number of different US and Mexican states, Canadian provinces, and DXCC entities. So you take the number of QSOs, you multiply by 2, that gives you the number of QSO points, and you take the QSO points times multipliers, and that gives you your total score. So here's how multipliers can make the difference. Okay, let's take Station A. Station A works 200 QSOs. 100 of those are the unique states, provinces, and DXCC entities. So let's do the math, and we got 200 contacts times 2 points per contact. We got 400 QSO points. We got 400 QSO points times 100 multipliers, and we got 40,000 points for Station A's score. Now along comes Station B. Station B only works 175 QSOs, but 125 of them are unique states, provinces, and DXCC entities. So we do the math, and we get 175 QSOs times 2 points, 350 QSO points, and now 350 QSO points times 125 multipliers, and we get 43,750 points. Station B works 25 fewer QSOs, but beats the heck out of Station A, 3,750 points. Multipliers can make a big difference. I've been the beneficiary and often and not victim of this a number of times, going back to ancient history, back in the 2001 ARRL 10-meter DX contest. Here's a look at the single-op low-power single sideband claimed scores. Number 10 is W8DD, and number 11 is yours truly, KS2G. We both have 1,122 QSOs, but DD has 139 multipliers, and I only have 124 multipliers. And if you look at the difference in score, he has 311,000 points. I have 278,000 points. To make up that difference, I would need 136 QSOs. So 15 multipliers are worth 136 QSOs. Now look further down. This gets even more interesting. Number 12, KB7XL. He's behind both of us. But he has more QSOs than both of us. He has 1,143 QSOs, but only 120 mults. So he's behind us. And even further down the log, poor old KE5OG, he has the most QSOs of this group, 1,189 QSOs. A lot more than any of us, but he only has 108 multipliers. So he ends up down the list further down. QSOs are where it's all at. So here's the question. Does your regular, everyday, good old boy have a chance to be a top scoring contester? So to finish in a top 10 contest, in a big contest, you really don't need big antennas up really high, and you don't need a kilowatt linear amplifier, and you don't need the latest, greatest top-of-the-line transceiver with DSP memories, dual watch receive, etc. Smarts and tenacity count more than hardware. And one of the smarts is which category you enter, as I mentioned earlier. So I have a 100-watt transceiver. You see it behind me in my shack. I have a 3-element Yagi. It's roof mounted 35 feet. I've never owned an amplifier, and yet I've been able to paper my wall with all kinds of certificates by entering in the proper categories, right? This here, single op phone, low power, New York City, Long Island section. This one is the Worldwide DX contest, right? Operate in the right category on a level playing field and put in more time yields higher returns than putting out more watts. The saying among contesters, it's all about BIC, butt in chair time. The more time you put in, the more you score. So what information goes in a contest log that you're going to submit? Okay, obviously, the date and time, you always log in UTC. You check your computer log against either WWV or an online time standard. You want to make sure that whatever computer you're using, you want to set the offset from local time so you're operating in UTC in both time and date. You obviously put in the band and you put in the contest exchange, and you may indicate in the log the number of points, multipliers, and the score. So the question arises, do I have to use a computer? I've been doing this presentation for 25 years, and the answer to this question is sort of changed. I always say if you want to log by hand, you can, but there's lots to keep track of. You need to put down the usual log information. You want to have a dupe sheet so you don't operate duplicate stations, because that's usually prohibited by the rules. You need a multiplier list, so you're checking off the multipliers that you work. There's a prefix list if you're in a WPX contest. There's a zone or a grid map that you want to keep track of, so that if you're in a contest that's using zones or grids, that you know which zone or grid you're looking at. Scratch pad to write down, various call signs and times and so forth. A calculator to figure out the scoring that we just talked about earlier, and then a summary. And obviously, it's a big paper chase. Now, a better way, obviously, is by computer. And by computer, there are specialized contesting softwares available. Here are some popular ones. The most popular one, I think, at this moment in time is the N1MM Plus Logger. It's a Windows program, and it's free. It's fully featured. It's constantly updated. Practically every time I open that program, there's an update to it to figure out something, either fix a glitch, add a contest, whatever. N1MM Logger, Windows free. WriteLog is very similar to N1MM. It's a Windows program. It's a commercial program, so it's not free, but it is well supported. WinTest is another program I'm not personally familiar with. Those of you who are Mac people, Rumpet is a program I've been told about that Mac programmers use. Scupa Mac, which is free. And if you're a Linux guy, there are also Linux programs. Now, here's the thing, as I said, you have to use a computer program. And the short answer now is, if you want to enter the contest, yes. Because almost every contest now requires that you submit your log online by computer using a particular format called Cabrillo format. And all of these programs output the information in Cabrillo format, which enable you to upload the contest log to the contest sponsor and therefore enter. If you log by hand, there are utilities that let you take your paper log and then go to your computer. If you don't want to log in real time on the computer, you can log by hand. You can go to these utilities, and then you can by hand enter all the information, have it output in Cabrillo format, and therefore you can enter the contest that way. So the short answer is, do you have to use a computer? Yeah, you probably do. So what does contesting software do besides what I just said? Okay, so it logs your contacts. It checks for dupes. It lets you know in real time as you're going along whether the station you're working is a station you may have worked before and therefore would be invalid as another contact. It will tally your multipliers as you go along. It'll give you a running score. Calculates a running score based on the number of contacts, the number of multipliers. You can see how you're doing as you go along in real time. It tracks the rates. Remember, I talked about changing bands and how many QSOs per hour you're doing, and the contesting software will tell you what your rate is. It will modify the spotting network. If you're using spotting assistance, it will modify the spotting network. It will call your attention to new multipliers or new stations that are available to work. It will function as a voice or CW memory keyer for most parts. It will integrate to most current radios. It provides Iridium digital interface. It controls the radio's antennas with the proper interfaces. You can actually have your contesting software turn your beam and switch your radio frequencies and so forth. If you're using N1MM, for example, and you see a spot for a station that you need, you're on 20 meters, and you see a spot for a station that you want to work, and that station is on 15 meters. When you click on that station's call sign, N1MM will move your radio to that band and that frequency so you can work that station, and then you can quickly go back to where you were, let's say, running stations on 20 meters. It summarizes and analyzes your results. It generates the Cabrillo file for your log submission, and many of the programs I mentioned earlier will actually help you print QSLs. N1MM does not have a module that does that, but there are utilities that you can output the N1MM Cabrillo log, and it will print QSL cards or labels for you. So besides logging, how can it help me? Well, it'll show you which bands to work at what time. It'll find those stations and multipliers that you can work. It will increase your QSO rate. It will increase your QSO total. It'll increase your mult total. It'll decrease and eliminate duplicates. So contesting software does a lot for you. These days, basically, anyone who has any more than a very casual interest in contesting is going to work using a contesting program. And by the way, contesting programs can also be generic. I use N1MM as my generic DX contest log program as well. Okay, so to set up a station for contesting, what do we do? What would be the items that you'd need? Okay, well, any station, as I said, can be used for contesting. So what do you need? You need a transceiver. If you're really old school, you need a transmitter and receiver. You need an antenna, obviously. Excuse me again. And let's see. Okay. You don't need a linear amplifier, as I said, because you can operate QRP. You can operate in a low power category, and you don't need a linear amplifier necessarily. I've had a lot of success in contesting, never owned a linear amplifier. On voice, you need a microphone. On CW, you need a key or a keyer, straight key, bug, iambic keyer. If you're operating radio digital, obviously you need a digital interface. But when you're setting up a contest station, here's what I like to remind people of. To optimize the long hours you're going to spend operating in a contest, hour after hour, the most important pieces of equipment in any contest station are your chair and your desk. You want to set up the economics of your station so that you're not hunching over and end up with an aching back after an hour, or a sore wrist, or anything like that, or eye strain and so forth. You want to keep station ergonomics in mind as the principal thing to keep in mind when you're setting up a station for contesting. Most important consideration for station layout, again, it's ergonomics. It's ease of use. You want to be able to see and reach all of the devices, displays, controls you need most often, and perform the required functions of your station with a minimum of movement. Some useful accessories in a contesting station, for CW, a CW memory keyer, for a phone, a boom mic or a boom mic headset. I'm a fan of foot switch rather than Vox. And for voice keying, for calling CQ repeatedly, a voice keyer. Some of this stuff is now built into many radios. Many radios, of course, you're probably familiar with, have a CW keyer built in. Many have an audio voice keyer built in, but you can use external devices as well. Not an operating consideration, but when you're setting up a contest station, things inevitably go wrong during contests. You want to be able to get to the back of your equipment. If you possibly can manage this, I've never been able to, unfortunately, but you want to be set up your desk so you can walk behind the desk to get to the connections behind your radio. So either a space between your desk and the wall, or the ability to pull your desk out on casters to get behind the equipment in case something goes wrong. Inevitably, something's going to come loose. You're going to be in the middle of a contest and you're going to encounter the dreaded tangled cable. Here are some questions posted on ham radio online forums that I've seen over the course of years. These are very common questions. Is it acceptable for a non-contest station to respond to the various CQ contest calls? And as I said earlier, yes, contest stations are trying for as many contacts as possible, and every QSO counts. With very rare exception, 99.9% of the time, you don't have to be, quote, be in the contest, which means enter a log for the station you work to get credit for your QSO. However, if you're casually operating, you turn on the radio, you hear a contest, you want to throw out a contact to a station that you hear, don't make just one contact, make 3 or 4. The reason for that is if you're when the computers do the log checking of the contest entries, if your call sign only shows up once, it's possible that you are it's not possible, but you're considered, that call sign is considered unique. And then the question arises, why is it unique? Is it unique because you only made one contact, or is it unique because the station that has you in the log copied your call sign wrong and therefore should be penalized for an improper call sign? So if you're going to go in casually, make 2, 3, 4 contacts, and that way your call sign will show up in multiple logs and you won't be tagged as unique. Are you wasting your time because your QSO is not verifiable? Absolutely not. You don't have to be in the contest to provide valid QSOs. As I said, there's log checking software, and if your call sign shows up more than once, then obviously your call sign is going to be valid, and the stations you work are going to be given credit for your contest QSOs. State QSO parties, very popular contest. There are state QSO parties for all 50 states. And when you hear QSO party stations announcing a particular state, are they looking for replies from their own state? No, they're looking for contacts for both within their state and stationed elsewhere. The way state QSO parties generally work, in state stations, the multipliers are usually something like counties, plus anything like states and DXCC entities. So if I'm in the New York QSO party, as I operate every October, I'm looking for stations in New York State so I can work all the New York counties, but I'm also looking for states, because those are auto multipliers, 50 states, and I'm also looking for DXCC entities. Okay, out-of-state stations can also enter the contest. There are categories for both in-state and out-of-state entries for state QSO parties, and those are all described in the rules of the QSO parties. So if a foreign station asks for a contact during a state QSO party, will the U.S. station reply? That be rude? Yeah, they'll reply. Not rude or important. Oftentimes, in the QSO parties, DX doesn't count for anything other than a point. There's no multipliers, there's no nothing. And you do find, because there are entry categories, you do find DX stations operating in QSO parties because they are looking for awards for DX entities that are available in state QSO parties. Okay, multiple contests, multiple bands. You got 2 contests going on at the same time. Can you operate both of them? Yes, sure. You just ask for and provide the exchange information for both events, and you keep separate logs, and you send in the logs separately. If you enter an HF contest, that's on all bands, and the exchange is the serial number. Do you go back to serial number 1 when you change to a different band? And the answer to that is no. Serial numbers continue across all bands. You may or may not be able to work the same station or multiplier on more than one band. That all depends on the rules. That's why you have to always review the rules of the contest. And by the way, contest rules change from year to year. I always review the contest rules for each contest that I enter. Here's the question about duplicate contacts. Generally speaking, duplicate contacts are not valid. You get to work each station either once per contest or once per band or once per mode or something like that. So the question is, now comes along somebody, you're calling CQ, and along comes a station that calls you and you already worked them. So what's the question? Should you work that station or not? And that's a matter of opinion, and my opinion has shifted over the years on that. Some people think working dupes wastes too much time. But some people think it's quicker to work dupes rather than to tell them. And there's no penalty for dupes in your log, so you may as well work them. Why not? Okay. So what happens with me very often, because of the way the contest logging software works, someone will call me. I type in the call, and right away I see it's a dupe, and I'll say, already worked on this band, thank you. Now, sometimes the station will say, not in my log. So that means something went wrong someplace. Or worse yet, I've had this happen to me on the other end, right? I'm doing search and pounce, and I see a station, and I type it into my contest logger, and it shows it's a good contact. And I call the guy, and the guy says, it's a dupe, worked you before. And I'll say, not in my log. Now, one of two things can happen here. Now, if he's a good guy, you know, he can just work me again. That'll solve that problem. But if he'll say, I worked you before, I say, can you tell me when? Right? Because if he can tell me when, or a QSO number or something, I can look in my log and find what he's talking about. And invariably what's happened is I've miscopied his call. I've busted his call. It's a dupe because I got his call wrong the first time. Now, if I got his call wrong the first time, that's a penalty for me. So I'm better off correcting the call sign. So if he can give me the information that we worked before, if he can give me a QSO number, or if he can give me a time, I can go back into my log. I say, oh, here, I busted this call. I can go back into my log and I can fix it. So it helps the other station, as I said, who may have busted my call earlier. And the other question is, if you work dupes, should you remove them from the log? And the answer is no. Once they're logged, you leave them in. There's no penalty for working dupes. So that's the question about duplicate. And that's how my thinking about it has changed over the years. The log should actually reflect what you worked in the contest, including dupes. It helps the other station. You may have busted the call, as I said earlier. QSLs. Okay. Is it proper, good idea, worth it to send QSL cards to contest stations? Sure. Yeah, why not? Of course. Contests, one of the best ways to get the contacts you need for various awards. I have 4-band DXCC. I need 19 more contacts confirmed on 80 meters to complete 5-band DXCC. I've been stuck at 30 for a year. And lo and behold, on my logbook of the world, about a week and a half ago, I go to logbook of the world, and there's a QSO from someone I worked in a contest 2 years ago on 80 meters who finally uploaded his log to logbook of the world and gave me another DXCC entity on 80 meters. If you're looking for QSLs, make it easy for the contest station to QSL. Send stateside cards with a stamped self-addressed envelope, DXCC cards with green stamps, you know, dollar bills. If you send money to DXCC stations, don't put any indication on the envelope that has anything to do with amateur radio. Don't put his call sign, just put his name and address, whatever. Postal authorities and overseas entities know from ham radio, know that we send people money and they take it out. Best thing to do is use Logbook of the World or Club Log. I use both of those. If you're an EQSL user or a QSZ.com user, they're not very popular among contesters. I don't upload my logs to either of those. I use LOTW or Club Log. You can use QSL bureaus, obviously, don't mind waiting. Those of you familiar with the turnaround time in QSL bureaus, it can be measured in months, if not years. I finally stopped using QSL bureaus. I can't respond to DXCC cards from QSL bureaus anymore. It's just too much for me over the years because of all the contests I've I've worked. I just can't keep up with it anymore. Where can you get information about contesting? Well, on paper, there's lots of information. There's a contesting column and articles in QST magazine. There's a companion publication called the National Contest Journal. That's part of ARRL. If you're an ARRL member, you can get a National Contest Journal for free online as an electronic publication. CQ Magazine, which has had its issues in recent years. I think they're still in business, and you can find contesting information in CQ Magazine. Online, there's lots of contesting websites. As I mentioned, contest calendar is one that you want to have in your tag on your favorites. There are a bunch of other ones. K9FOX, the Contest DX library is a nice one. Contesting.com. There's lots of online information about contesting. Here are some contests that are coming up, and these are not. It's a good time of year to get your feet wet in contesting. January 6th and 7th, this coming weekend, the ARRL RIDI Roundup. On January 13th, the North America QSO Party CW, and then the following week, January 20th, the North America QSO Party single sideband. These are pretty casual contests. They're only one day. They're only on Saturday, and they're pretty low key. So they're a good. There are no cutthroat contesters operating in those contests. They're pretty low key. So they're good ones to start out with. In February, the CQ Worldwide RIDI WPX RIDI contest is coming up. The end of February, the North American QSO Party RIDI, which is the RIDI counterpart of the ones in January, and then a big contest if you want to see what it's really like. The ARRL DX sideband contest comes up March 3rd or 4th. And I'll add one other thing. Let me see if I can do this. I'll just mention, as I said, I'm a founder of Ham Radio University, which will be celebrating its 25th year this coming Saturday. I'll be doing a version of this presentation at Ham Radio University, and there are previous versions of this slide deck on the hamuniversity.org website. So if you'd like this deck, you can go to hamradiouniversity.org and you can download the deck as a PDF. We also have a number of presentations on the Ham Radio University YouTube channel. I'd urge you to take a look at that. Subscribe. It helps us keep the channel live. If you have any specific questions, you can email me. I'll be happy to correspond with you directly. Just ks2g@ARRL.net. And I think I finished on time. Any questions?
Okay, has anybody got any questions? It's a lot of stuff there. I'll be putting some BIC in pretty soon. Got a new chair.
There won't be any questions, I don't think, but I want to point out in my observation during the presentation, which I thought was very good. A lot of cameras were taking pictures of your presentation, and I think the people are making notes and they'll be reaching out to you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be happy. Let me see if I can get this other thing up on the screen here. Hold on a second. I don't know what I did with it. One of the members of my contesting club took the let's see, where is it? Is it here? I'll find it. No, it's not here. Oh, here it is. Let's see. If I go here and I go here, right? I'm trying to share my screen again with something different. Let's see. This is not it. No. He took the contesting calendar and he put it into an Excel spreadsheet for 2024. Month by month, he's got all of the major contests, and he's got all of the QSO parties, and it's a live Excel spreadsheet. So if you go to each of the contests and you click on it, the name of the contest, it will take you to the contest rules, And I'll be happy if someone will give me, email me the information. I'll be happy to email that to somebody in your club so you can put it up on your website so everybody can download it. It's a very handy kind of
Yep.
thing.
Mel, you got my email address. Go ahead and send it to me.
Okay, great. I will do that. Let's see here. Okay, all right. Let me see if I can get rid of this. Okay. So I'm going to close this out. Okay. So anybody got any questions while we have any time? Nothing. Perfect. A perfect
Good.
presentation.
Thank you very much, Mel, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. There's a lot of information there that we'll spend some time with, and have a great new year.
Okay. Happy to do it. And as I said, anybody who has any questions, just email me at ks2g@arrl.net.
Excellent. Appreciate it very much. We're gonna. Yeah, this microphone's turned down a little bit, I think. We're gonna go into our drawings real quick. Did everybody get a ticket when they walked in? Did anybody not get a ticket? Okay. Just want to make sure. We have, we actually have 2 late entries for the Christmas party. from
Good
the
night, everybody.
ARRL. The ARRL was sending us, some gift certificates for the Christmas party. We didn't get until after the Christmas party. So, they told us to go ahead and give them out at the next, club meeting. So that's what we're doing. Also, what you don't see up here, which will be included, we'll do the 3 drawings as we normally do. We'll do also a drawing for HRO $50 gift certificate tonight. All this could be used next month at Amcation. Okay. So if you win the $50 gift certificate from HRO, if you'll be so kind to sit there and write your name, call sign, and your telephone number and your email address on the back of this white piece of paper here. When I get home after dinner, because I haven't eaten dinner yet, I will go online and get that and send it to you by email tonight. So tomorrow morning, when you check your email, it should be there. If it's not, send me an email and I'll make sure you get it, because we've had a little bit of problems with email lately. Our wonderful hosting provider has done some updates. And of course, when they do updates, there's a lot of things that go wrong and stuff. So we've been working on getting all those things resolved, but there may be some issues with AOL accounts and Bright House Spectrum accounts. So Dim House, whatever they are now. So anyways, I just want to make sure you're aware. If you don't get it, send me an email. I might have to call you and say it's there, or I'll make sure you get a copy, a hard copy in person or something. All right, let's go. First drawing. Again, there's 2 $50 ARRL and 1 HRO $50 gift certificate. First ticket, last 3 numbers, 2, 7, 3. All right, next one. Christy comes up. And Christy, if you want the ARRL one, you can grab it. If you want the HRO one, if you'll just write your name right here, just so I know I have all your information, but so I know who it was. All right, ARRL coupons or price coupons. Next one is last 3 numbers, 286. 286. That's like James. You never know. Just grab one of those. And that's redeemable online or at the ARRL when they're here. All right, last one, 248. 248. Come on up. Missed by 1. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. All right. All right. I just want to go over a couple of real quick things while we have a minute. First and foremost, there are coffee and donuts on the back. Please feel free. If you want to load up tonight before you go home, have at it. If you are going to stick around for Ham Nation, or the announcement that Michael's going to be doing. Michael, and actually it's Mike Bannigan. Please, when we go live, just hold your voice down. If you are going to stick around, we could probably use a couple extra people to help James, who works here at the facility, gather chairs and stuff after Ham Nation is over. And just to remind everybody that our next meeting is not in February, it is in March. And the date is going to be March the 6th, Wednesday, March the 6th at 7:30 here in Beardall. Presentation, Michael will be recapping Hamcation, and we'll also be going over the nominations for elections for April. All right. Thank you, guys. I apologize for being really short tonight, but it's kind of important. Ham Nation is every other Wednesday, and it always seems to fall on our meeting night. See you at Hamcation.